Welcome to Beyond Fairway, golf for blind and low vision.
Hello, everybody. Warm welcome to Beyond Fairway. In this episode, we will continue to learn more about golf clubs. Specifically, in this episode, we will focus on irons. Before we get started with today's episode, I just wanted to remind that in the previous episode, we learnt about drivers. If you had not watched that episode, it is available part of the Beyond Fairway playlist, and I highly recommend you to watch that episode as well. Now let's dive into the fascinating world of iron clubs used in golf. Iron clubs are crucial part of any golfer's arsenal, offering control, precision and versatility on golf course. There are typically 9 iron clubs, numbering from 1 to 9. Each one has its own specific purpose and design. The iron clubs are used to make different shots, especially if the ball is on the fairway. The golfers use different irons to hit the ball. And also when the ball is on the rough, we can use irons. In some cases, actually, people also use irons to tee off the ball, especially if the distance between the tee box and the hole is not that much. Learning about all 9 irons in one episode can be overwhelming. That is why I am actually breaking it up, and in this episode, we will learn about 1 iron, 2 iron, and 3 iron. Before we get started with 1 iron, I just wanted to remind you all that the club head of the iron clubs are small in nature. In fact, if you want to know what is a golf club head and how does it look like, I highly recommend you to listen to my episode on the anatomy of golf club. But in short, generally the club head of the iron clubs are like a oval, elongated oval and small. I mean, these club heads are not as big as woods or driver or any of that. They're generally small. The 1 iron or the driving iron has the lowest loft among the iron clubs. What does it mean to have a lower loft? The lower the loft is, the ball travels the more distance. But the ball may not go up so much in the air. It may more travel in the air parallel to the ground and travel more distance. Typically, the loft of the 1 iron is between 16 to 18 degrees. So 1 iron is actually used to hit the ball more distance. That means you want to really hit the ball far. That is when you use 1 iron. Why? Because 1 iron, as I said, has a lowest loft. That means the ball won't go so much in the air, and when ball goes so much in the air, it will fall and it won't go longer distance. But if the ball can travel more parallel to the ground, straight line, and then it can travel little more distance. That is why generally the 1 iron is used to hit the ball longer distance. So some people actually use it to tee off the ball from any tee box. When you start any hole, that is called teeing off, right? So that is where you use. Most importantly, I think in the modern game, the 1 iron is used when you have a lot of wind and you want to hit the ball very far, but you don't want the ball to go up because wind will put it down. If the ball goes up in the air, then wind will stop it, right? That is when you want the ball to travel more parallel to the ground, not so much height, and that is when you use iron 1, rather 1 iron. But 1 iron is actually not used so much in the modern game, because the other clubs like driver can also do the same thing, as what one iron can do. But the difference is one iron, because the club head is small, and it requires a lot of precision to be able to hit, because the ball travels more parallel to the ground, so it requires really precision to be able to control and all that, right? Therefore, not many people use one iron in the modern game, because the drivers and woods and hybrids are providing much more forgiveness. That means forgiveness means even if you miss hit, the ball still will go. But with one iron, you require a lot of precision, and there is not much of forgiveness. So in order to use for actually one iron, you need to practice a lot. So therefore, a lot of amateur players don't use one iron at all, because it really requires mastery to use this club. Any which ways, you know, sometimes on the golf course when there is a lot of wind and all that, this club becomes very handy, and especially when you want to hit the ball far. Typically, a professional golfer can hit with one iron around 200 to 250 ads, actually beyond 250 ads. An amateur golfer who has a good practice with one iron can also hit around 200 yards. Like one iron, two iron is also part of the longer clubs. Two iron also has the lower loft. While the one iron has 16 to 18 degrees loft, the two iron may have between 18 to 20, but is still very lower compared to other clubs. Because the loft is lower, even two iron is also used to hit the ball distance wise more, and the trajectory of the ball also stay low and not go so much in the air, and it travels far. However, like one iron, two iron is also not used so much in the modern game, because we have alternatives like hybrids or wood, which has much more bigger club heads and which has a much more forgiving. Therefore, we don't use two irons so much in the modern game. Again, like in one iron, two iron is also used when you want to hit the ball more distance, but the two iron can actually has a little more better control, because it will go little more in the air than the um, one iron. A professional golfer can actually hit the ball over 200 yards using two iron. An amateur golfer who has a good practice of using two iron can also hit around 180 yards. The three iron is much more easier to use compared to one iron and two iron. The three iron has a much more bigger club head compared to one iron and two iron. Therefore, the forgiveness is much better. That means even if you little miss hit the ball, it will still go the distance and all of that. However, the loft of the club head is still in the mid range degrees, between 20 to 24. That means uh, three iron can still take the ball distance wise more, but it can also take the ball little in the air. Especially this is very useful, the club is very useful in a windy condition, and when you want to hit the ball under a tree branch. That means you don't want ball to go so much height, but you want a better control as well, not too low, because it might hit the root or something like that. So when you want little height but not so much and distance wise more, this club is very good. Amateur golfer can actually hit around 180 yards, and professionals can actually hit with three iron over 200 yards. Remember one thing, when I'm talking about the distance with each of the club, I'm just generally saying an average. It doesn't mean that this is the distance one can hit with a specific club. Nothing of that sort. I'm just giving an idea. By and large, the distance is based on the the power you can generate through the swing, and how much precisely you can hit the ball with the club head, and also the windy conditions and other external factors. It all, all of this actually makes difference in terms of hitting the ball to the distance wise. All the three clubs that we learnt about, one iron, two iron and three iron, All of these requires a lot of practice to get better in using these clubs. In the next episode, we will learn about 4 iron, 5 iron, 6 iron, and 7 iron. But till then, happy swinging. Please practice if you can with 1 iron, 2 iron, 3 iron. Of course, 1 iron, as I said, we don't use much nowadays, even 2 iron. But I think practicing with 3 iron is important. Um, Meanwhile, I have a request. Please do share this podcast as widely as possible. Like this podcast so that others can find it. And also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, Story Garden, if you are not already done. Take care and bye.